Religion is a huge thing for us Muslims. It's the number one thing, in our life.
I do use prayer as a way to de-stress myself.
Our faith keepers decide when it's the appropriate time to do ceremony.
Within a particular faith, someone may ask for an accommodation that's easily met.
My homeroom teacher, she's pretty supportive.
A school that has representation from all over the world.
So I'm learning about different cultures all the time.
Our understanding grows.
When people wear a medicine pouch, they know why.
Yeah, I'm more connected to my religion.
We do pray 5 times a day.
5 prayers a day, every day.
I don't know about other schools, but we feel very supportive here.
Religious accommodation is actually an issue of educational equity.
We're working in it together. We're not in a conflict situation.
The school is not exclusive, but we're inclusive. Whoever you are, you belong.
Our doors swing open to all who enter. We are a welcoming place to everyone who chooses to be educated in a public education environment. This is striking at the core of what it means to be the kind of society that we've said we want to be.
The first step to that is really listening. The richness is in the different cultures, the different faiths that come together, and having that mutual respect for one another, that we develop such an enriched learning opportunity for our students, because we really are about student achievement and well-being.
People don't cease to be religious and spiritual just because they come into the school. They're still whole human beings.
I want our kids to feel they are belonging to this society. They came from far away to this country, so they have to feel welcoming.
And so many of us with Interfaith Grand River and other places would like to see more children learn about the faith of the other people in their classroom. Rather than make jokes about something, they become respectful of the other person.
Both the Ontario Human Rights Code and the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedom protect equality based on creed and freedom of religion as fundamental human rights in Ontario. This includes the right to be treated equally, irrespective of one's religion or creed, and the right to hold and practice religious or creed beliefs of one's own choosing. It also includes the right to be free from religious pressure and the imposition of creed or religious beliefs the person does not share. The right to equal treatment under the Code can also require individuals and organizations to take positive steps to accommodate people's observances of their religious or creed beliefs.
The turban is that symbolism of dignity, and so this is given to Sikhs as one of the parts of the uniform that we should wear at all times.
We tie it up in a bun on our head, and then we have a long cloth and we wrap that around, and there's different techniques, so every person will have a different way that they tie it and that they've perfected, so you'll learn it from someone and then you'll find your own kind of way of doing things. Personally, I feel that it's a promise of integrity. It's a way to be different and stand out, and you know that wearing a turban.
Throughout the process and in the actual accommodation itself, it's important that the accommodation is provided in a dignified manner. Similarly, another key principle is inclusion and participation. Generally, where possible, organizations should seek to include individuals in the type of accommodation they provide rather than segregate.
Smudging is like cleansing. It's like, when people go in the morning to have a shower, it's the same thing, but it's done with smoke and the 4 sacred medicines that we use. And what it is, and we light it, and then it's a smoke that we just kind of brush over ourselves. And like our mind, our eyes, our nose, mouth, ears.
It would be very nice to have the ability to smudge at school. Maybe not as an everyday thing, but a once in a while thing would be nice, because there are those off days where you just feel so overwhelmed and you just need that sense of comfort.
It's a way of balancing ourselves. You know, it's our spiritual, our emotional, our physical, and our mental health. And smudging with those different medicines take care of each of those different elements of our well-being.
Within a particular faith, someone may ask for an accommodation that's easily met. There may be others, depending on how they subscribe to their faith, may ask for some fairly significant accommodations.
Each person's needs are unique and should be considered as such when an accommodation request is made. And just because one member of a faith group might have accepted a particular accommodation arrangement, this does not mean that this will work for all members of that faith group. The Commission has developed a policy on competing rights that outlines some key principles. Among these principles are that no right is absolute, every right may be limited in particular circumstances, in particular where it interferes with the rights and freedoms of others.
Setting problem.
Similarly, there is no hierarchy of rights. No one right will necessarily trump another right.
Community responsibilities versus your individual rights, I think, can also sometimes be a line that we can bump into. But I think that as long as we have the right motivation and the right goals, I think we can resolve those.
Prayer is actually one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and it's mandatory for you to pray 5 times a day. If we can get a room, even a small room, since we don't know what the population of Muslims in this school is not that much, we can adjust and we can pray, even if we're excused from class for just 10 minutes.
For me personally, I also find it's like that one moment in the day where you can like step away from everything and you're not worried about like what homeworks do, you're not worried about social issues, you're not worried about stuff. It's just between you and God, and it's like a moment of sanction, you can say, where you're just, for that few moments, you're just there and you're like, I'm glad I have this life.
They would probably need 2 prayer times, the noon and the afternoon prayer. So a student would need maximum of about 5 minutes to do their ablution and to come and actually say the prayer in a simple, reasonably clean spot. Noise and that is not a factor for a Muslim who's able to, you know, at least concentrate on his or her prayers.
My hope for my kids is to be happy and to be safe and to be successful.
I would hope that all of the students would feel included and valued.
And that they can be a bit more vulnerable and ask the question they really have.
And feel that you're not going to be put down for that.
So religious accommodation, or accommodation in the sense that you're talking about, I think could be, if we get it right, a kind of bridge to that.
The more sensitivity, the more appreciation we will have, the more welcoming and inclusive we will become.
My hope is to be good citizens. As long as children are taught in the school to respect each other, there will be harmony in the community.
And we should try to respect their diversities.
The nature of society will continue to transform.
We all have different religions, we all have different backgrounds, but to really be able to work together to make it as a species.
Solutions start with a conversation.
Understanding who they are, what are some of the values, what are some of the celebrations.
For staff to say, oh, I need to know more, and to make the effort to find out.
There is so much information around us. If somebody wants to know, they can easily know, but it's that action which has to come across.
Reinforces that, yes, I need to go out and I need to find out more about the different cultures that are within our community.
How are we preparing our teachers, and how are we providing them with support that they need?
To be lifelong learners and to have those opportunities, and that all pathways will be available for our students.
I definitely hope it will give a good chance for all the staff, for all the men, for not only the teachers board, but other parents to be open-minded and everything.
We hate what we don't know and what we don't understand.
If you know about things, you are not scared, you're not afraid, you don't hate.
Then we have a chance of working together and building a society together. This is where it starts.
and everyone just really feels like they play a vital role in this community. Those are my hopes for the future.
So I don't really feel worried about this at all with my religion and everything. I think it's great.